Welcome to the DevReady podcast. Joining me on the episode of the DevReady podcast today, I have Stephen Key. So for those of you that are new here, I'm meeting Stephen for the first time, and we're all going to learn a little bit more about him and SEO today. So Stephen, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. Great meeting you online. We haven't met in person as yet.
True.
And we were connected via a mutual connection. Glad to be here. Would love to share what we have to offer and maybe give some gems and gold nuggets that your listeners can take home to their businesses.
Not a problem. So you run, it's called SME Digital, which is
SME
a
Digital.
marketing SEO agency, if I'm
So we're more a
paraphrasing.
web design and SEO agencies. The website is the conversion tool. A lot of people mix the two together or think they're one. The website is really your conversion tool, and everything else you do in terms of lead generation leads to your conversion tool. So
Yep.
including things like face-to-face networking or referrals networking, that's a lead generation activity. SEO is a lead generation activity. So that's what we've specialized in. SEO, we generate the leads.
Yep.
Businesses also have the other activities, and that leads to the website. And that's where we convert and feed your pipeline.
Cool. It's a very succinct explanation. So what got you started in this space?
So going all the way to the beginning, I have a BSc Financial Mathematics, which is a South African equivalent of an actuarial degree in uni. So I'm South African born. I moved to Australia in 2011. So I had a taste of entrepreneurship when I started a business. It was a side gig, an Airbnb business in 2018. And that quickly turned from zero to $1 million turnover business within 18 months.
Oh, well.
COVID happened. And that business, as you can imagine, we were doing rental arbitrage, so we had a lot of rental commitments. Everyone in lockdown, no revenue, was quite stressful.
Yep.
But having that taste of exponential growth gave us the confidence to start another business. Now, why SEO and why web designs? Well, what we enjoyed about the Airbnb business is that we could make money in our sleep. So I often say, what do? I help our customers find their customers in their sleep. So that's how the transition happened.
Yep. Were you focusing on sort of SEO and marketing on that business at all? And is that what got you into
Not
this, or you?
actually. No, I think Airbnb does all the marketing. So we listed our properties, and we got customers pretty much even before the listing was ready. So we got to know a couple of the hacks industry. We mingled with people that were experts, and we got to know the Airbnb algorithms pretty well, pricing, pictures, descriptions, etc. And the two platforms, search engines and Airbnb, are essential in the sense that they connect people that have a have with the people that have a need. So travelers and properties
Yep.
connect, whereas Google is more industry agnostic or any other search engine. So that's how we moved from tourism into marketing in the
Yep.
sense that it's the algorithm side of things.
Yep.
So during COVID, we reskilled ourselves. I took up a course in web design and SEO through the e-Business Institute in Queensland. There in Brisbane, and that's how we got started. So on the surface, it looks like actuary, tourism, marketing, but it's the mathematics that binds them all together. I'm after the mathematics and the pattern
Yep.
recognition.
It's a very process driven. There's patterns there. Once you identify that, you know how to then exploit it effectively.
Yes, exactly.
So, how did you go about building that web design and SEO business then? Because that's coming in as a complete outsider without a background.
Yes.
I'm assuming there are a few challenges there.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the good things that the e-Business Institute did was they not only trained us in the skills we needed to build a really good, high converting website, and also the skills to get the results from an SEO perspective. They trained us high level on what we need to build a successful business. And one of the key points that I took out of the course was there was a session at a boot camp where Frederick Marcoux, who's the head of BNI Australia, was a guest speaker, and he talked about the importance of networking and how the old saying, the old cliche, your network is your net worth. So that's how we got confidence, and having the experience of processes and systems necessary to manage 16 properties. So the Airbnb business went from 0 properties to 16 properties across 2 states. We had that skill. So my wife and I founded both businesses, both B&B Havens and Key Web Designs at the time. That's how we got the confidence of going from corporate to full-time business owner, because we have the qualifications from a corporate perspective. We had the experience of running our own business and a 7-figure business, and then we had the training. But the key here is that we quickly built networks, and it was really the web design and SEO business was a COVID-born business.
Yep.
A lot of existing businesses got caught up in having practically 0 digital presence. And that's
True.
where we were kind of in the right place at the right time. And it linked to how we moved from B&B Havens into the web design and SEO agency, in that we ourselves were looking at how to revive B&B Havens, the Airbnb business.
Okay.
And then we thought, oh, hang on, we could do this ourselves and grow a business out of that, have a larger potential.
Yep.
And in 2023, December 2023, I merged the original web and SEO agency with the one that I found at Key Web Designs into SME Digital. So that's how we.
It's an interesting way to approach everything.
Yes.
So yeah, having COVID, so it was sort of like the accelerator to get you off the ground, because you mentioned there was a lot of businesses that were caught off guard, not a lot of digital presence. E-commerce was important, but it wasn't on the top of everyone's list because they were doing things the way they were doing and it was still working.
Yes.
There's nothing like a big disruptor to change what everyone thinks, how everyone thinks the priorities of what they should be doing are compared to what the rest of the market says at the same time as well.
Absolutely.
You can't get anyone at the moment who doesn't think it's e-commerce first.
Yes. And online presence.
Correct.
So SME Digital focuses on service-based businesses. So as much as e-commerce and e-commerce sites are important for bricks and mortar businesses selling products, service-based businesses also need that digital presence. If you think of people moving, I mean, there's 700,000 migrants, 700,000 plus migrants that have recently entered. In Australia, they're settling in, they're moving between suburbs, and kids are growing up, they're moving into between suburbs. They're going to need a tradie, they're going to need a doctor, they're going to need a dentist. Where they're going to find those dentists, Google search is often the first port of call.
Yeah, it's primarily not primarily, it's generally the first point of call for everyone. There is some shift going over to probably TikTok and Instagram for searching, or maybe
Yes.
the AI, but I don't think they're not going to give you localized results like Google will, or Facebook with their advertising. But Google is still the king in search. It's going to be very hard to beat them, because from my experience, the AI results, it's not the same kind of result that you get from the general Google search. But I'm also talking as the person who in the office had the superpower of being able to Google anything. So
Absolutely.
I would go past page 1 and I would go 10 pages deep to find what I needed to find.
Yes, that's true. And look, we're the exceptions to the rule. Often people go to the top, and that's what makes SEO so crucial.
Yep.
And you mentioned TikTok and the social media and all the other forms. These are all lead generation activities, and that's a good point. So even SEO, organic search itself, is going through disruption, right? In the younger generation, it's probably more TikTok than it is Google search. But I just want to focus in on SEO at the moment, and a lot of disruption happening. SEO's pretty much gone full circle. So we had, before the internet, we had marketing. And then marketing had online presence, and then SEO started to form its own individual pillar or silo, to use that analogy. Now, because of the disruption, SEO is going back to overall marketing. It's part of all your lead generation activities, and that's how we take it. That's our approach when it comes to SEO services. To our clients, we form part of the team. Yep. We want to make sure that we're part of the marketing team, and we're aware of what all the other specialists are doing, so that we can deliver results for our clients.
And that's the best way to try and work with your clients. We have a similar approach. We become your tech partner, not someone you talk to and then we disappear and come back with a result that's wrong because we haven't had enough time to work together and understand how you need to work, how to communicate and get the right results.
Precisely. And in terms of results, a lot of it is maths. A lot of people say marketing is psychology. It's probably both, because I come from an actuarial background. I'd say it's more mathematics. I mean, psychology, as crucial as it is, without the maths and data, that's it's guesswork.
Yes.
So we need driven data insights, testing and measuring the results. And even before that, when we onboard clients, we make sure that we understand their goals. Because if someone's investing significant amounts into SEO or even modest amounts, there needs to be a return. There needs to be a result.
Correct. And it's without the right values and the KPIs to look into, you're going to be making the wrong decisions. I've done the last 3-4 months a bit more focus on our marketing for our business because we're trying to promote a product that we had on the market. So I've done a lot of a deep dive in more on the advertising side. But from what I've come to learn is it is psychology because you need to figure out a way to get someone's attention, and that's what that hook is for. So the SEO is a little bit different because it's targeted based on intent, not trying to educate someone on something they don't know. But in the marketing side, my experience is you can boil it down to as simple as how do you get someone to stop scrolling?
Yeah.
What can you do to do that? And it's just how many experiments can you run to see which one of the 100 different styles that you're testing is going to do that the best?
Yes. And you've got a limited budget. So
Correct.
That's where being part of the team is. Let's focus on these areas. Let's test and measure, and then let's review, be it a quarter or 6 months, and refine and adjust. If we hit a gold nugget, let's double down. If results fall short, let's reassess.
That's the other problem is it's not a very quick activity to try and see the trends of the things. In advertising space, they say let an ad run for at least a week before you know if it's working or not.
Absolutely.
So with a limited budget, you're now going 2-3 months before you find the one thing that works. When you're trying to do something very quickly, it's a bit of a painful exercise.
Yes, and that's why we need a diverse approach. And especially businesses these days find something that works. Use that to fund all the other ones to have those incremental progress. We're after progress and exponential progress at that.
Yes, a little bit of progress along the way on multiple things makes a big change towards the end. If you can make those little steps along the way over the course of a year, you'll get that exponential progress throughout the course of the entire year.
That's right. So Anthony, you're saying you're spending a lot on advertising. Are these Google ads, social media ads?
I wouldn't say it's a lot. It's just social media ads at the moment. We haven't gone into the Google AdWords world. It's more testing Meta ads and TikTok ads just to see. All right, video ads seem to be doing well at the moment, so I'm just testing that from content. Small budget between $20 to $50 a day is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
$50 at most, not every day. So that's just testing the market, understanding how do I do this myself. I like to understand how things work, not just hand over things to agencies and let them do it.
Yes.
So I like to be involved in the process. So we're learning that and exploring. But Google AdWords and SEO is something we haven't dived into, so maybe we can start talking about that. I know at a top level, my understanding SEO is search engine optimization. You're matching for keywords in Google searches or intent of what someone is going to be looking for. And then you're crafting content to match that intent on certain landing pages or just in general in blog posts. So then you can have that keyword ranking. Is that a good enough explanation?
That's part of the explanation. Look, it's very wide. So Google has over 2,300 factors that help rank.
Oh, wow.
But yes, the main thing is having search your results, your services that you offer, the problems that you solve, that your business shows up. So give me an example of a problem that your business solves or your service solves.
So we develop software for clients. So we can help people get their ideas to market. We can help commercialize products. We can help them recover a project that is failing. The issue I have with SEO is how we decide how I've just worded things and not necessarily what the person's going to search.
Yes. No, that's such a great question. And how we as SEO agencies manage that is we consult with you. Again, I'll refer back to our onboarding process. Our onboarding process is a questionnaire that is an accountability tool, actually, that helps our clients spend time on the business. So it includes things like, do you have a tagline? As basic as what's your tagline? What's your customer avatar? What pain point do you solve? from that questionnaire, we get a brain dump from our clients, and we have a kickoff session as well to map that further out so that we understand what your views are. We take that and we also ask you to name 5 competitors of yours. So then we have a look at what they rank for and what content they have. So we've got your view of the world, we've got your competitors' view of the world, and then we'll go and do our analysis on what Google thinks of you and your business, and also what your customer avatars are searching for those solutions. Mm-hmm. And then we put those 3 together to tailor a strategy that we can test and measure.
Yep. And I'm assuming that process to try and find out what they're searching for is a bit of an experimentation or exploratory phase, where you're going through certain tools to then find things that match, have certain volume that is not too competitive against either.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where we balance budget and there's something called keyword difficulty, which is really an indication of how competitive an industry is. For example, if we take electrician Sydney or dentist Chatswood, those would be high competition. Are there any angles, neighbouring suburbs, for example, North Sydney or even Lane Cove, to find an anchor point? So we want to find an anchor point to target neighbouring suburbs and grow into your goal. Yep. So yes, there's a lot of aspects to that. And that's where the maths comes in. This is your goal, and let's try and find any weak points from competitors, any angles that there is a demand that we can test and measure.
Yep. Do you also start researching competitors and understanding what keywords? There's tools. There's one that we use internally for Uber Suggest from Neil Patel.
Yep. I haven't heard of that one, but yes, absolutely.
Neil Patel's got a keyword optimization and ranking tool that we use, the Google Search Console, and then that gives us stats for us. But then there's ones where you can compare competitors' websites and see what they're ranking for and understand the positioning of your market.
Yes. Now, there's a lot of tools out there. Look, we use tools like Ahrefs, KW Finder, SEMrush.
Yep.
And that's exactly it. That's the second pillar where we say name 5 competitors and where they're ranking, and we can see whether there's an angle that we can take so that our clients can rank better and get results.
Yep. Do you find trouble when dealing with clients in saying these are the keywords that will work or we should be targeting compared to what they think the keywords are?
Yes, that's the beauty of having our onboarding sessions. We set the expectations right. Even before the onboarding session, when we have our discovery and strategy calls, and these are obligation free, as much as the client is qualifying us, we want to make sure that we can deliver the results. And to deliver the results, we also have an obligation to see whether we're a right fit. Are we going to be speaking the same language? Do we value each other? Are we in a position to have robust discussions and test and measure? If there's a tie, we test and measure.
Yeah, you have to be able to get along with the client and be able to have some of those confronting or difficult discussions sometimes. Say they may be certain that they want a certain keyword, but you can show them that, all right, the search volume, there's only 10 queries a month for that keyword. It's not worth it.
Yes.
In a really simple way of explaining it. I've got very limited knowledge across this, or not limited, but surface level.
Yes, and it's valid, and you hear a lot about it, and that's where it comes from, an unregulated industry. They may have heard from a friend's friend that's an expert in these things. You've got to rank for this, and then they've got it in their head because they're more likely to trust a friend that they've seen for 200 hours. They've spent more than 200 hours versus an agency, because there's lots of agencies, number one. And number two, we've just hypothetically met, or we might not even have met in person.
I'll touch onto the unregulated industry component in a section, but I just want to ask, so if you're starting to think about SEO and moving forward with the business, what are some of the things you can do before you may think you may not have a budget to reach out to someone like yourself or an agency? What are some of the things a business can do to start working on that?
Know your customer acquisition cost, CAC, CAC, because you want to have that. Everything in my head is about measuring. You want to make sure that you have a benchmark and if you're investing, say, X dollars, let's say 1,500 a month in SEO services, you want to make sure that you can reverse engineer how much leads you need to generate and how much closed business, in other words, converted leads into business you need to reach to make sure that it's viable. And then, of course, you need to justify continued investment in SEO services because it's a long game.
Yep.
The difference between Google Ads and SEO, if I can use a property analogy, because we're in Australia, we love property, is Google Ads is like renting and SEO is like owning. You own that space. And there's a lot of statistics that people trust organic search more than paid ads, because paid ads is like renting. You get those results instantly. You're the highest bidder for a certain keyword, you'll show up on top.
Yep.
And a lot of businesses and experienced people will know that they'll do a deeper level, such as yourselves. You'll go beyond a page one, but most people will look at page one, but within page one, they generally take an approach of suspicion or wary on ads. And the ideal situation is if you're spending on ads, you want to rank one on ads and then rank one on organic. You've pretty much probably 5x plus a click-through rate.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a very high stat compared to what you'll normally
Yes.
get.
Absolutely. Because it's that reinforcement. You see our brand, let's say SME Digital, hypothetically, if we were having an ad campaign, you'd see SME Digital for a need. You need a high converting website, and you see SME Digital again. You'll click it, and then you have a high converting website to convert that into a call, into a phone call.
Yeah, I never thought of the analogy of the rent versus own on the SEO versus ads, but it does make sense. And there's a lot of parallels from the SEO to the AdWords, because the AdWords is a lot focused on keywords again.
That's right.
So the learnings there can be applied to both.
Absolutely.
So if they understand the customer acquisition cost, I'm assuming they're really going to have to understand their lifetime value as well.
Yes.
Because that's going to be probably more of a differentiator on how much they can actually spend based on what the customer will return long term.
That's right. So this is a great topic to focus on. If you think dentists, we're growing our portfolio of dentists because they love the results that we're generating. Mm-hmm. Your typical dentist probably, because again, we'll touch on the regulation of the industry, etc. later on. But because it's unregulated, a lot of dentists view SEO services with a sense of hesitation. Yep. There's a lot of horror stories out there. And the best lead generation of a dentist is most likely a referral. You've got a mum and the mum's friend and the whole family comes along, they're local. And a dentist that understands the lifetime value of a new client will invest in SEO, because you would have landed a mum that wouldn't have come across from a referrals, and that's just gold.
Yep.
And the good thing about dentists being wary of investing in SEO services is if we have a particular dentist that's investing in SEO, they're more than likely going to achieve better results because the competition is generally lower.
Yep.
As tough as the competition is, someone that's investing in it and no one else is going to get some results.
Yeah, and if you think about that from a lifetime value perspective, just say $250 for every visit and you're doing a clean and checkup or whatever it may be. If that's a mum, 2 kids and a father, potentially, so 4 people, that's $1,000 every 6 months.
Yes.
If you do it twice a year. So it's $2,000 a year per family. I don't know, their lifetime, say maybe they're there for 10 years and they decide to change, or the kids get older and they do something different. You're now at a $20,000 lifetime value. So would you be willing to spend $500 to acquire a $20,000 customer?
Exactly.
If you ask that to anyone, they're going to say yes without hesitation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then that will inform your bid strategy on Google AdWords, because then you can outbid other people potentially, because you actually understand your numbers and you've got that data points to compare it against. And then the SEO is just your continued spend, saying, all right, by spending this much, we're retaining our pool of customers over this time frame, and that's what we're looking at.
Yes. And while we're talking about Google Ads, our philosophy at SME Digital, because we also offer Google Ads as a service at a really competitive rate, because exactly as you mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of synergies in the work. We don't do Google Ads standalone, but for our SEO clients, we will do Google Ads on top. if and when they ask us to do that. Our philosophy is we rely on Google Ads when the pipeline's looking soft. Perhaps the economy is looking soft, or maybe a lot of people are on holiday, or whatever the case may be. That's when you bolt on Google Ads, because AdWords are volatile. The pay-per-click can be volatile. Rely on SEO as your stable strategy when it comes to
your
online
constant
business.
presence. Always have that presence there.
Yes.
So now on that unregulated industry that you mentioned a couple of times, we've got our own experience of that in the software world, and being a web developer, you probably experienced a part of that as well. The cowboy developers and SEO agencies, you probably get a lot more of it in the SEO space, because you don't have to be as technical to do that compared to actually development. You don't need to have as much skill at that level as a programmer. But what's your experience with that world and previous clients that have had engagements with similar agencies and them getting burnt? Because that's generally what happens.
Yes. Look, I'm not a lawyer, so in terms of all the legalities, look, it is a sad situation, but I'm an optimist, so I often see the positive sides in it. In that, humans always learn. The example of your project, you had a client or prospect that lost $1.4 million on a project because they tried to perhaps go with a cowboy supplier or try to do it themselves. Why pay twice? Rather seek an expert. So with my view on it, I've always been willing to have that conversation, because and that's where, again, going back to how we grew our business, referral based. We joined a referral based networking group, and that's how we built credibility. Have those conversations. Our agency is about giving. That's how we're results driven. So if we can have that conversation with someone that's been burnt by SEO or has a bodgy website, they want to survive in business, and they can see the competitor across the street with a beautiful looking website, and they've spent $5,000 on a bodgy looking one. They're crying for help secretly. As much as they've been burnt, if they want to survive as a business, they need a credible agency. And that's our mission, essentially. Have more conversations, and say there are good guys out there, like in the industry. Even if it's a regulated industry, you still have budget operators. It's about doing your due diligence and seeking 2 or 3 suppliers. Quotes.
I'm not as optimistic as yourself. Sometimes we've got a lot of clients. So half of our work comes from what we call rescue projects. So we've had clients that have gone overseas or picked a local team, jumped into development too quickly. Team hasn't understood the requirements or how to work with them. They don't have a process that's defined well enough to then guide the client through steps to be able to understand what they actually want to achieve and how to deliver it. And then at 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, whatever the time period may be, the developers come back and go, here's your product, and it's not what you expected.
Yes.
So from our experience, it's people may not, the clients, they want the best outcome. They want to have a business that's going to survive, but they don't know what they don't know. So they're going to a party who seems to be the right one. They're saying the right things in the first conversation, but then all these red flags come up that they don't realize are red flags, so they haven't gone through the process before. So this is the biggest difference with what we do, and we're in an unregulated industry, and we don't have a certification from a central body, but we have a process where we take everyone step by step through workshops and understand what they want to build, how they want to build it, ideate, completely money back guarantee on this entire process, and we try to get people to an outcome before they even start developing. You wouldn't build a house without going to an architect and getting engineering plans and go straight to a builder and start putting up a frame and a slab. You can end up with the wrong slab, the wrong frame. It won't support what you want to build. And that's the same thing with software. And that's the biggest thing is a lot of the agencies don't have the best intentions either. A lot of them know that they may be having a crap process, but it's on volume. And probably in the SEO space, because it takes a while for things to turn around, they can push along with that a lot longer than they could.
Yes.
Any other way.
That's true. Absolutely. And there's the sunk cost fallacy where it's like, we've invested in $9,000 already with Bodgy Agency X. Let's go for another 3,000, and then it becomes 12,000. Let's go another 6,000. Yes, and the only thing we can do is to educate. So much like you, Anthony, you have the podcast. I'm appearing in more podcasts. It's an education drive, and that's where we want to make a positive difference. And that's where again, know your numbers, know your strategy. Now, SEO takes a long time to achieve results.
Yes.
But that's not to say that you can see progress towards those results. It's a big funnel. You want to see your conversion rates, you want to see your click-through rates, and then you're going to start seeing leads. Now, the leads may come in 6, and if you're in a competitive industry, 9 months' time, but don't get bamboozled by all the backlinks, time on page keywords, ranking for a low competition keyword, an ego, I call it an ego keyword,
Yep.
and say, oh, it's working, it's coming. Have those results. I want to see, okay, your conversion rate's 30%. So we need to see 3 phone calls. Okay, to see 3 phone calls, you reverse engineer. So that's where my abnormality is a superpower. So my logic drives my wife nuts because my wife's normal. But people buy with emotion. And that's where having a web design and SEO agency that's numbers driven, that's logic driven, combined with psychology. So one of the co-founders of SME Digital has a psychology degree. You have the best of both. So educate, have logic as a rail guard, and then test and measure.
Yeah, and that's the philosophy to take. It's share our knowledge with as many people as we can. Hopefully they listen, and then provide the data for them to be able to make the right decisions.
Yes.
And like at a minimum, if you're doing anything with any agency, is your traffic increasing to the website at a minimum? Like that's the lowest thing that can move. And if that's moving, or something's happening.
Yes, exactly. We don't have to talk about backlinks. Oh, I got you a $750 backlink with the New York Times or Forbes or whatever. And that's vanity metrics. And all these things, business owners need to be educated on. That doesn't matter. It's the same as going to a doctor. You've got an ailment. You don't need to know 7 years of medical degree. All you need to know is the ailment's there. I'm taking medication. Is it improving or not? And that's where reputable agencies should focus on achieving results, educating clients on what to look for to see whether we're headed in the right direction.
And if anyone wants to find out more and reach out to you, how can they do that, Stephen?
So we've got a website, smedigital.com.au. We're very proud of our portfolio page. There's a portfolio of over 40 samples of our work there. And that's how they can find out. And there's also a link to book a discovery call obligation free with us.
Awesome. We'll add all of those links into the show notes as well. Once again, Stephen, it's been a great chat, and I love diving into the world of SEO and having that data-based approach, and I can resonate with that a lot. It's been a pleasure having you on the episode today.
Thanks, Anthony. I had a blast. Thank you, and lovely meeting you today.
Thank you.